Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday evening segment of Divine Femininity United. I am your girl, Dr. Bianca Miss B. Lee, and we are here for our chapter 5 reading of the amazing book, Power versus Force, written by the wonderful author, David R. Hawkins, MD, PhD. He is not to be played with, okay? And this book is evidence of that. He's teaching us a lot of things, laying down a beautiful foundation for us to build on. We're talking about consciousness and the levels of consciousness. So Sunday we went over each level of consciousness and the numerical grade for each one. So he started with 75, which was, I believe it was shame or guilt, one of those. Excuse me. And then the highest being between 700 to 1,000 of the highest level of enlightenment, which he says only three people in written history has tested or gauged at that level of consciousness and enlightenment, which was um, Lord Krishna, Lord Buddha, and Lord Jesus Christ. Okay. And I don't know about you all, but I think I want to acquire that level of enlightenment. I don't know about you all. Okay. But that is the goal in this life. Of course, once we leave this life and we return back to our natural state, which is that of energy and spirit, of course we will be of higher consciousness and things like that because we're returning back to our higher selves. However, I want to achieve that level of consciousness here in this life, right? And exhibit that and demonstrate that while being in this human form. That way I can be in this world but not of this world. The same way that Christ, Krishna, Buddha, everybody, those individuals were able to navigate through this human journey as their higher self. That's my desire. That is my ultimate desire. I kid you not. I want nothing more than that. Okay, to show up in this life as I am, and excuse me, we're learning here how to do that. We're learning here how to do that. So in our next chapter, of course, on Tuesday nights, I try not to linger around and do small talk too much because it's already 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Okay. So I want to get you back to your regular scheduled programs as quickly as possible. But we're at chapter 5, social distribution of consciousness levels. Okay. We went over the consciousness levels before, but now we're going to be talking about or reading about how to distribute socially the levels of consciousness, those different levels of consciousness, and how they are distributed. Okay. Alrighty. At any point, if you have any questions or comments or any feedback or whatever the case, feel free to use the chat. Use the chat. Okay. That's what it's there for. Use the comments. That's what it's there for. The comment section. Share your voice. Share your thoughts. I love to hear them. Of course, I'm going to be reading on one screen, so I'll be bouncing back and forth, paying attention to who says what, and acknowledging your presence here. So if you want to share, please share. I would love that. Share, and like, and bring more people into our fold. Okay. Alrighty, here we go. Chapter 5, social distribution of consciousness levels. A graphic representation of the distribution of the respective energy levels among the world's population would resemble the shape of a pagoda roof, in that 85% of the human race calibrates below the critical level of 200, while the overall average level of human consciousness today is approximately 207. The power of the relatively few individuals near the top counterbalances the weakness of the masses toward the bottom to achieve this overall average. As mentioned, only 4% of the world's population calibrates at an energy level of 500 or above. Only 0.4% reach 540. And a level of consciousness calibrated at 600 or above is reached only by 1 in 10 million. Wow. At first glance, these figures may seem improbable, but if we examine world conditions, we'll quickly be reminded that the populations of entire subcontinents live at a barely existing level. Famine and disease are commonplace, frequently accompanied by political oppression and scant social resources. Many of these people live in a state of hopelessness, calibrating at the level of apathy, in resignation to their abject poverty. We must also realize that much of the remainder of the world's population, civilized as well as primitive, lives primarily in fear. The majority of humans spend their lives in a quest for one form of security or another. Those whose lifestyles transcend the imperative of survival to allow discretionary options become grist with desire driven world economic meal, and success in attaining these desires leads at best to pride. Any meaningful human satisfaction cannot even commence until the level of 250, where some degree of self confidence begins to emerge as a basis for positive life experiences in the evolution of consciousness. That is so true, man. If we think about it, this society, human society, is ruled by fear and poverty and division or guilt and shame and pride and oh my word, those are the heavy energies that are permeating throughout the air, and that's why it's very important for us to maintain a steady level of energy, keep a peaceful mindset, choose peace, choose love, choose joy, no matter what. In the midst of the storm, we got to choose those things because there's already such heavy debilitating energy floating around us every day, all day, our entire life. Man, we have to choose to see and be the opposite, in the other direction, in the higher direction. Next section, cultural correlations. The energy fields below 200 are most common in extremely primitive conditions where people eke out bare survival. Clothing is meager. Illiteracy is the rule. Infant mortality is high. Disease and malnutrition are widespread. And there is a vacuum of social power. Skills are rudimentary and center around gathering fuel and food and preparing shelter. And there is total dependence on the vagaries of immediate environment. This is the Stone Age cultural level, little more than animal existence. Wow. Then populations characterized by the low 200s are typified by unskilled labor, rudimentary trade, and the building of simple artifacts, such as dugout canoes and temporary housing. Mobility begins to express itself in the nomadic lifestyle and in populations that average a somewhat higher consciousness. Agriculture appears and barter evolves into the use of token currency. The mid 200s are that we're talking about the gauges and levels of consciousness here. So the mid 200s are associated with semi-skilled level labor. Simple but life-sustaining housing and food economy become dependably available. Clothing is adequate, and elementary education begins. Mm. The high 200s are represented by skilled labor, blue collar workers, tradesmen, retail commerce, and industries. At lower levels, for example, fishing is an individual or tribal activity, but above the mid 200s, it becomes an industry. At the level of 300, we find technicians, skilled and advanced craftsmen, routine managers, and a more sophisticated business structure. Completion of secondary education becomes customary, and interest in style, sport, and public entertainment appears. TV is the great pastime at this level. In the mid 300s, we find upper management, artisans, and educators with an informed awareness of public events and a worldview that extends beyond the tribe, neighborhood, or city to the nation at large and its welfare. Social dialogue becomes a meaningful matter of interest. Survival has been assured by the acquisition of skills and information adequate to function as a civilized society. There's a social mobility and flexibility and resources that enable a limited amount of travel and other stimulating recreation. The 400s are the level of awakening of the intellect, where true literacy, higher education, the professional class, executives, and scientists can be found. The home, which is devoid of reading materials at the lowest level, here exhibits magazines, periodicals, and full bookcases. There's an interest in educational broadcast channels on TV and a more sophisticated political awareness. Great communication adeptness, intellectual preoccupation, and artistic creativity are common. Recreational activities take the form of chess, travel, theater, and concerts. Civic enterprises intended to enhance the social melee receive serious attention. Supreme Court justices, presidents, statesmen, inventors, and leaders of industry occupy this general range. Because education is the underpinning of this level, individuals tend to gather in metropolitan areas where they have access to sources of information and instruction, such as at universities. Some aspire to faculty status, while others become lawyers or members of other professional classes. The welfare of one's fellow man is a common concern, but yet not yet a driving force. The high 400s are associated with leaders in their respective fields and with high social prestige, accomplishment, and corresponding social trappings. Both Einstein and Freud calibrate at 499. But while the 400s are the level of universities and doctorates, they're also the source of limited and limiting Newtonian visions of the universe and of the Cartesian split between mind and body, which is Newton and Descartes, also calibrated 499. I can understand that. Oh man. So he's talking about both ends of the spectrum because there is a higher elevating level and then there is a lower level of that same range. Wow. Just as level 200 demarcates a critical change of consciousness, 500 is a point of which awareness makes another giant leap. Although survival of the individual is still important, the motivation of love begins to color all activities, and creativity comes into full expression, accompanied by commitment, dedication, and expressions of charisma. Here, excellence is common in every field of human endeavor, from sports to scientific investigation. Altruism becomes a motivating factor, along with dedication to principles. Leadership is accepted rather than sought. Leadership is accepted rather than sought. From this level, great music, art, and architecture emerge, as does the capacity to uplift others by one's mere presence. In the upper 500s, inspirational leaders who set an example for the rest of society are found, and in their respective fields, create new paradigms with their far reaching implications of all mankind. Although well aware themselves that they still have defects and limitations, people on this level are often seen by the general public as out of the ordinary and may be recognized with emblems of distinction. Many people in the mid 500s begin to have spiritual experiences of profound import and become immersed in spiritual pursuits. Some astonish their friends and family with sudden breakthroughs into new subjective context of reality. Consciousness at this level can be described as vision and may focus on uplifting society as a whole. A few even make a great leap to the region that calibrates at 600. At this point, an individual's life can become legendary. The signature of the 600s is compassion, pervading all motivation and activity. Wow. Next section, progression of consciousness. Although the levels we have described span a great variation, it's uncommon for people to move from one level to another during their lifetimes. The energy field that is calibrated for an individual at birth only increases on the average by about 5 points. Wow. That an individual's level of consciousness is already in effect at birth is a sobering idea with profound implications. And consciousness itself, in its expression as human civilization, evolves slowly indeed through innumerable generations. It's so true. The majority of people utilize their life experiences to elaborate and express the variations of their native energy field. It's the rare individual who manages to move beyond it. Although many may make considerable internal improvement, the reason for this is more easily understandable when we see that what defines one's level is motivation. Motivation proceeds from meaning, and meaning in turn is an expression in context. Thus, achievement is bounded by context, which, when correspondingly aligned with motivation, determines the individual's relative power. The average advance of a mere 5 points in a lifetime is, of course, a statistical figure produced by, among other things, the unfortunate fact that people's cumulative life choices many times result in a net lowering of their level of consciousness. It's so true. Over the course of our lives, because see, we come from spirit, right? And when we come from spirit, we come at a level of awareness and consciousness. We come at a high level. Then as life progresses on, and we're then familiarized, because when we come into this world, we're unfamiliar with the things of this world. We don't know anything about fear, anything about betrayal, anything about, lying and stealing. We don't know those things. We're unfamiliar. That is not that those are not the elements of from whence we came. So when we come into this realm, we're coming into this realm super green as our natural, true, ethereal selves. That's why children are the purest. That's why, they have the confidence out of this world. That's why they're bold and they're free, because those are the elements of their natural self. That's why it's easy for children to smile big and love and hug and kiss and just be so overtly loving and things like that. So we say overtly, because that's from where they came from. That's from where we came from. It's not until fear is taught do they adapt to fear. It's not until, you know, uh verbal abuse or trauma is introduced, do they know trauma or verbal abuse or mental abuse or physical abuse. It's not until they hear yelling, you know, is trepidation or intimidation brought to the scene. Other than that, they don't know anything like that. Our spirits come into this realm as itself. Now, I'm just talking about the level of children. Let's progress on into preteen, school, peer pressure, comparison one to another, bullies, low self-esteem, depression, you know, uh, add on there welfare conditions and they can afford this but we can't, and we don't have enough food, and I don't look good, and they don't choose me, and they don't like me, and they were mean to me, they said, right. And then go to teenage, go to high school years, you know oh, they backstabbed me, they lied to me, they did me dirty, I got cut from the squad, I got an F in my class, I failed my test, what I'm saying, I didn't get accepted to that college. All of those things. Now we're just adding, and I'm talking about just life's journey. Let's also add in the factor areas where mom is unhealed, that she's passing on to the child. Areas where dad is unhealed, that he's passing to the child. Areas where the family is unhealed and they're passing to the child. So, what was once a natural, normal state of their ethereal selves has now been overridden, program override, system override, to learn these lower things. So, I can totally understand why he says, as we journey in life, unfortunately, life's choices and all of the other things many times result in a net lowering of our level of consciousness. And we end up at below 200 when we came into the world in the high numbers. Okay. Man, he says, as will be enumerated in detail later, which is in chapter 23, the influence of a very few individuals of advanced consciousness counterbalances entire populations at the lower levels. But conversely, The extreme negativity of a few perverse individuals can sway entire cultures and produce a global drag on the general level of consciousness, as history illustrates too well. Kinesiological testing indicates that a mere 2.6% of the human population identifiable by an abnormal kinesiological polarity, which is testing strong to negative attractors and weak to positive attractors, accounts for 72% of society's problems. Nonetheless, it is possible to make sudden positive jumps, leaping up even hundreds of points. If one can truly escape the egocentric draws of sub 200 attractor fields, consciously choosing a friendly, earnest, kind, and forgiving approach to life, and eventually making charity towards other one's primary focus, higher levels can certainly be attained. In practice, great will is required. That in practice is a big deal. In practice, like I say, and I have this term trademarked, I am in purpose, on purpose, 100% of the time. We have to wake up and be intentional about the energy that we're going to stand in and operate in throughout the day. And every day we have to choose peace before any of the day starts. We have to choose love. We have to choose. The only way to really do this is to reconnect with peace, love, joy, happiness, forgiveness, trust, all of that within ourselves, because we're going to outwardly express what we're inwardly feeling. I'm going to say that again. We outwardly express what we inwardly feel. Okay? We treat people how we treat ourselves. We just don't talk about it. We demean others because somewhere in our own self, we feel demeaned. We feel less than. We feel unworthy. Right? We're mean to others because inside of our own selves, we see ourselves as inadequate for some reason. Right? It's that I'm going to get you before you get me mentality, or I'm sad, therefore you got to be sad. I see you happy in your family relationship, so I'm going to sabotage it because I'm not happy in mine. Right? We have to choose to reconnect with the elements of us, our natural state, and remove all of these things that are not like us. These are not our things. These lower vibrating energies are not us. Okay? Going back to the book. Thus, although it's not ordinary to move out of one energy field into another during one's lifetime, the opportunity still exists. It remains, and okay, let me go back there. He said it's not ordinary to move out of one energy field into another during one's lifetime. The reason is because the energy, the low, heavy energy in this realm is just that. It is heavy. It is overwhelming. This is why you have to choose love, because the moment you walk outside your door, hate meets you at the door. Period. Hate is going to greet you. Hate, anger, rage. Get behind the wheel and commute to your job. Somebody in that traffic is going to cause you to honk your horn crazy, flip the bird, cuss them out. I'm telling you, this is why it is imperative for us to choose. You have to, like Cindy Trim. She's a speaker. She's an author. She has a book that calls that's called Claiming My Morning. When we wake up, we have to set the tone for the day. The day doesn't get to tell us how we're going to be or what it's going to give. We have to set it up. We have to set the tone. Otherwise, we will become victims to the day. All right. Going back to that. He says the opportunity, though, to elevate in your energy field, it still exists. It remains for motivation to activate that potential. Without the exercise of choice, come on, no progression will occur. Without the exercise of choice, you have to exercise your choice, not be a victim to life. No, life is happening for us, never to us. It happens to us when we see ourselves as victims of life. You curate your life. You determine what the narrative is going to be in this life for you. You do that. You set the temperature. So without the exercise, without you implementing choice, no progression will ever occur. It's important to keep in mind that the progression of the calibrated power levels is logarithmic. Thus, individual choice can have a mighty effect. What's significant is power level, for instance. The difference between 361.0 and 361.1 is very meaningful and capable of transforming both one's life and one's effect on the world at large. That, you all, that was the end of chapter 5. That was it. But that was impactful. That was enough, because that's more than enough for us to walk away and really chew on that, man. Really chew on that. There's nowhere in the world, right, that mankind, the average of mankind only tests at 207, when 200 is the level of love. 207, really? That's because overall, as a whole, as one, because we are one of one, we are all of one life, one of one. We are all of the same one. And what brings us together and raises that number collectively is togetherness. But what happens? What is permeating throughout this entire planet? Division. We got man versus woman. We got brown versus white. We got uh, upper class versus lower class. We have, wealthy versus poverty. We have America versus Russia versus China versus Africa. That's why. Because the power is in the agreement. The power comes in the togetherness. Because if I raise my levels and then you raise your levels, and then somebody, the whole country or the city of Senegal raise their levels, and and then the city of Transylvania raise their levels, and everybody raise their levels across the globe simultaneously. Can you imagine what this planet will radiate and look like and be? If I look at you and treat you like you are an extension and the actual embodiment of God, and you treat me the exact same, can you imagine what this life will be? What we could do, all of us radiating at levels of 700 or better, because we're capable, because that's our true nature. It's possible. But like he said in the book, practice, exercised choice. Exercised choice. I choose to remain elevated. I choose to love my neighbor as myself. I choose to love myself as a divine being. I choose to treat myself well, kind. I choose to speak affirmations over my life. I choose to forgive me. I choose to forgive them. I choose to love them. I choose to be at peace with them. I choose to feed the hungry. I choose to clothe the naked. I choose to house the unhoused. I choose to love on the children. I choose to see and hear the adults, the elders. I choose to see and show them that they matter. I choose. I choose to respect the waters. I choose to respect the skies. I choose to respect the nature and the trees and the flowers and the fields. I choose to align with all things that is created, because I know that in it, I am as well. We're all made of the same components, just in different forms. The universe, nature, man. I choose to see myself when I see the tree. I choose to see myself when I smell a flower. I choose. I choose. I choose not to mistreat the dogs. I choose not to chop up the whatever. I choose to love others outside of me as I love myself. I choose to radiate all that I am. The only way that I can choose that, though, is to actually reconnect with all that I am and show up in this life as I am, not as this society tried to condition me to be. That's what this is. I love it here. You hear me? I love it here. And you should too. If you do not have this book, I don't know what you're waiting on. I don't. To receive your book, send me an email, send me a message with your email address, and for only a seed of $5, because I have to pour into my platform, you all. Your seed is simply that. It's come on. It's a seed. All right. It costs me monthly, it costs me well over $5 to do what it is that I do on a monthly basis. But I do it because we need it. All right. On this platform, I'm able to air on Clubhouse and Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and X, formerly known as Twitter, and edit and do all of those things. I'm able to do those things with only your $5 seed, okay? But trust me, it's worth it. You're worth it. Hello. We spend more than that on things that depreciate the moment we get the receipt in hand. Hello. This right here pours into you, and you continue to get the return on your investment. All right. With application, of course. Send me your information. Send me your email address, and I'll send the book over to you immediately. You can email me at info@biancamissblee.com, okay? info@biancamissblee.com. Also follow me on social media, you all. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Follow me on social media, okay? Actually, everywhere. LinkedIn, everywhere. Twitter. Dr. Bianca Miss B. Lee. Okay, find me there. Alrighty, you all. This again, I told you I don't like to keep you long, especially on Tuesday evenings. But these chapters they're not long, drawn out chapters. He hit it and quit it, and I love him for it. Okay. All right. So the next chapter, chapter 6, we will embark on Sunday, and that is entitled New Horizons in Research. New Horizons in Research. Okay. Alrighty, you all. I love you. I mean it. There's absolutely, positively nothing you can do about it. Don't you even try it. It will never work. Okay. And we will see you all back here on Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at Divine Femininity United. Have a great evening. Peace.